file them all automatically. Actually, right. No, you haven't done one either. Really good.
What's going on in your world?
One small thing.
Well, no rest for the week.
Okay. We're doing baby steps.
Get the phase 2 on the backside of the woods. Good deal. Oh. Hey,
What'd
you figure out calculation?
I don't have to have it memorized.
Because it's just gonna be on paper, isn't it?
Everyone ready? You ready, Sarah? No? This meeting of the Livingston City Commission is called to order. May we have roll call, please?
Chairperson Bennett,
Present.
Commissioner Holton, here, Commissioner Friedman,
Here.
Commissioner Schwartz, Commissioner Sandberg,
Present.
Now, a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a reminder to put your cell phones on buzz if you haven't already. So our first order of business for the commission are consent items. There are 2 items on our list for this evening. Is there anything that needs to be pulled by any commissioner? If not, then I would entertain a motion from the commission.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items.
Second. So there's a motion by Commissioner Hoagland and a second by Commissioner Friedman. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Holton,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandberg,
4.
Motion passes. Tonight, we do have 2 proclamations. One proclamation for Kids to Park Day and the other proclamation for National Police Week. First one reads, whereas May 20th, 2017 is the 7th Kids to Parks Day organized and launched by the National Park Trust, and whereas Kids to Park Day empowers kids and encourages families to get outdoors and visit America's parks. And whereas it is important to introduce a new generation of our nation's parks, and where we should encourage children to lead a more active lifestyle, to combat the issues of childhood obesity, diabetes, mellitus, hypertension, and high cholesterol. And whereas Kids to Parks Day is open to all children and adults across the country to encourage a large and diverse group of participants. And whereas Kids to Parks Day will broaden children's appreciation of nature and outdoors, and now therefore I, James Bennett, Chairman of the Livingston City Commission, on behalf of the Livingston City Commission, do hereby proclaim to participate in Kids to Parks Day. I urge residents of Livingston, Montana to make time, May 20th, 2017, to take the children in their lives to a neighborhood, state, or national park. Our next City Commission proclamation is for National Police Week 2017 and reads, whereas there are approximately 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including dedicated members of the Livingston Police Department and Park County Sheriff's Office. Whereas police officers face approximately 50,000 assaults a year, resulting in over 13,000 injuries. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. And whereas 394 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 143 officers killed in 2016 and 251 officers killed in the previous year. Whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen soldiers, all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags were flown at half-staff. Therefore, be it resolved that I, James Bennett, Livingston City Commission Chairperson, formally designate May 14th to 20th, 2017 as Police Week in Livingston, Montana, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. Now, therefore, I, James Bennett, Chairman of the Livingston City Commission, hereby proclaim May 14th to 20th, 2017 as National Police Week in the city of Livingston, Montana. I want to thank our police force. Thank you very much. Tonight we have 4 scheduled public comments. Our first on the agenda is Dave Pettit regarding grant funding for Sleeping Giant Middle School. Mr. Pettit.
Thank you. My name is David Pettit.
I'm Lisa Rosberg, the principal at Sleeping Giant.
Well, we did. We were here a month ago. I don't know how many months ago. But we had asked the commission to approve a URA grant for $6,000 to build an outdoor basketball court at Sleeping Giant Middle School, and that has been done. And what we did had pictures of kids on the court playing, and we had kids on the back sign them to thank you for that. And it was probably one of the best investments that I have seen made here, because it's used on the weekends. It's used for physical education classes and also our recesses and that. It's just a positive thing. And it's some of it's non-basketball people playing. I mean, they don't look at basketball players, but they're out there playing anyway and having fun in a constructive way.
I echo that. Thanks for supporting this effort. We had, of course, not all the kids at the school, but some of the kids at the school signed the photo. And as I was just looking at them, I saw that someone had crossed their name out. Why would they do that? And so I looked, and I think he thought he was signing it in the wrong column, because there's his name up on the next column. So he said, well, welcome to middle school.
So we do that daily. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Yeah.
Very well. Thank you for coming by and getting the kids to sign this too as well. All right, we have Ann Schilling with CASA representative. Make a presentation. And be sure to state your names for the record, and you're already on the record, but if you're gonna have someone else talk, you'll need to take a moment.
Yes, I'm Ann Schilling, I'm the program director for CASA. This is Julie Hill, and she's one of our board members. And I don't know if that's working, but, and then Ashley Peterson is here, who is our volunteer and development director. I want to thank you very much for inviting us to come to speak tonight. As you know, we submitted a funding request to the city of Livingston. We do receive marginal funding from both Park and Sweetgrass counties. And we thought that it was appropriate that the city of Livingston be also asked to contribute to the CASA's programs and operations. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates, and our program has been in existence now for 15 years. At least 90% of our cases originate within the city of Livingston. As stated in our request, our letter of request, the CASA operations meet the needs of abused and neglected children, the courts, and the community. Our volunteer advocates fight for the best interests of children facing difficult transitions within the child welfare system. The court is mandated by the state statute to appoint a CASA in each of these cases. Statistically, a child that has a CASA is 50% less to re-enter the system, meaning that it saves the local governments monies in areas of law enforcement, delinquency, long-term care, and lack of educational attainment. It's also been estimated nationally that the CASA program does save the federal government about $500 million a year. Locally, I would have to estimate, based on last year's volunteer hours, which were logged in at 1,430 hours, we calculate that at $60 an hour the rate, so that's $85,000 that we saved locally. I have not figured in the reentry fees if they re-enter into the system based on what it would cost in the areas that I talked about, because we aren't able to collect those statistics. So it is a big savings all the way around. Again, CASA is an effective use of taxpayer dollars. The value of the work that CASA does for the community and for the children involved is immeasurable. The ultimate goal is to help these children heal so that they will one day enter society as healthy adults and be able to contribute back to their world in a meaningful way. These city funds will show a commitment towards stable funding for the CASA program in order that we can meet our court mandate, which is to represent 100% of all abused and neglected children. Right now, the office manages between 20 and 30 advocates a year, and this year, this past year, we're almost at the end of our fiscal year, we have handled 45 DM cases. So I ask that you give the CASA program careful consideration for your 2017 and 18 budget. That's really all I had to present. If you have questions, I would gladly entertain questions.
Any clarification from the commission? Anything from the administration?
Okay, I do, Ashley Peterson, our program development person, would like, oh, there you are. Gosh, so, she would like to just visit for
So
a
we
second.
just want to thank you so much for letting us come in and speak to you today. We know that the CASA program within the child welfare system is a little bit complicated. So I'm coming around with some of our business cards, and we invite you to come to our office and come see what we do. We've started new 1-hour informational sessions that we've been doing to the public to try to raise awareness and get community involvement. They are less than an hour, so we won't take too much time out of your day, but we really encourage you guys to come in and see what we do and learn more about the CASA program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Anne.
Thank you.
So I'm actually a CASA myself.
Yes, she is, and I thank you for that.
So I just want to reiterate that we are all volunteers in the program. The amount of hours that we spend in each case is volunteer. We go to court We go to every court hearing. We are the only non-paid entity in the courtroom. There's judges, there's attorneys for the parents, and we are representing the children, and we are unpaid. So with that, Anne, can you just explain then, since we're all volunteers, what the funding goes to for locally for the program?
The funding that we get goes to wages for staff. It goes for a lot of training for all the volunteers. We send them both nationally, statewide, locally. A lot of our trainings, we have to pay for the presenters. We are required by National CASA to do, every CASA has to acquire 12 hours of training a year to keep up with their credentials. And in some of our cases, we are having to pay for the attorney fees that represent the CASA. Every CASA is represented by an attorney, and so we have to pay some of those fees as well. And then rent, you know, the typical things that keep an office going. So, yeah.
And we've had some discussions on drug activity and have had requests from the drug task force for some increased funding to help with the drug problem in our community. Can you tell us how many of the 40 odd cases currently are drug related?
Sure. So we handled 45 cases this year. I would say 43 are all related to drugs. Most of them are, all of them are meth. Some of our cases, the children are testing positive as well for meth. And in a few of the most recent cases, the testing, the meth levels in all of the children in that home were higher than what we've seen in a lot of adults. So it is pandemic. It's a really bad issue here. We deal with a lot of serious mental health issues that are untreated, and so then they resort to some sort of substance abuse as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
Question, you had stated that Sweetgrass and Park County counties contribute to, can you tell us how much?
Yes, Sweetgrass County, and we base this on the numbers that we get, and that this was developed 16 years ago. Sweetgrass gives us 5,000, Park County gives us 10,000. And based on the numbers, 10,000 is really low. But I have never asked for more in the 15 years that we've been in operation.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much, Anne.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Sure. And I really would like you to take it up, call the office and come in for one of those sessions, because it'll really explain to you what is going on in the community as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next public comment is from Leah Elwell, the Invasive Species Action Network. Yeah.
So I'm Leah Elwell with Invasive Species Action Network.
I'm not with them, most of you guys know me. So we had a noxious weed trust fund grant that Melody helped apply for. It wasn't last year. Okay, December 2015. And that's to obviously help with invasive species of weeds around the Livingston Park County area. With that, this is explain more.
Great. Okay. Well, actually, before I get started, I'm going to pass these out for you guys, but I also wanted to explain I am with a nonprofit called Invasive Species Action Network, as you just heard.
Is this any different than what was in our packet?
It isn't, but Shannon wanted me to bring these as like a hand and a standalone. If you don't want it, that's fine. Okay.
Thank you.
No?
I'll take them.
Okay.
If you went to the trouble of doing that, I'll
Sure.
take one. Because I help me keep it filed better.
Okay, there you go. All right, and the difference in the side, there's all the appendices are in that one, it's appendices. So, as I was saying, Invasive Species Action Network is a nonprofit. We are headquartered here in Livingston, and the executive director created the group in 2008, which is Bob Wiltshire, some of you probably know him in the community. And we often fly under the radar. Some people are like, what do you do in town? And we work on a lot of different issues with people actually across the West. And you probably don't see us doing so many things in Livingston itself. So this was kind of definitely more of a local project for us. But our reach goes wide, beyond Livingston, of course, as I just said, across the West. So for example, right now I'm working with the state of Nevada to create a management plan for their entire state. We're working with Washington to address some other aquatic plant issues. So just to give you kind of an idea of who we are. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, but I don't need to belabor what we do. Again, if you want to talk to me more about it, or Bob, we would welcome that. So what I want to say about the plan is that this is kind of unique. So in terms of Montana, this is the first city noxious weed management plan. So it's kind of exciting. You'll note the foreword there was written by Dave Birch, who is part of the Department of Agriculture. So it is of note that the city has chosen to take some steps to actively manage weeds. Historically, there was an agreement with the county that did noxious weed management. So this is really that first step that describes the intent of the city of what steps are going to be taken to manage weeds. Yeah, but there are some salient points to note. It's the parks and trails plan. This isn't for the entire city. There's definitely more noxious weed issues to address, but this is kind of a bite-sized way to approach that. So you're not just, scrambling around, and it also, of course, hones in activities. The other thing is I've used the word noxious weed. It's guided specifically, I believe it's on page 18, which is in the appendices. Noxious weeds are identified and approved by the state Department of Agriculture. So it's not just weeds only. We're not talking about dandelions here. We're talking about very specific noxious weeds. And I'm sure there's plenty of folks around town that will find weeds that are not noxious, so that, just gives the city boundaries of what steps they're taking. So the long and short of it is, by having a plan that allows the Public Works Department to take a more proactive and consistent approach. By having the county do it, it's not so much streamlined because it's handled as it could be handled. So if we have a specific plan, then we can go back and we know what our results, how should we do this differently, timing, etc. So it just helps give some great direction for the future.
Just a clarification on what you just stated. So were the weeds previously being handled by the county even in the city then? Or
Even in the city. So what do you mean by that?
So just a comment you just said about this gives a more proactive approach to the Public Works Department as opposed to what the county had been doing.
And really, I'm not sure of how they integrated that response to manage weeds. I just know that it was just an agreement with the county.
okay, so that was my
I
question.
don't know all
So,
the details of how that fleshed out.
okay, so currently
So-
go ahead.
Sorry. Previously, it was more the county that did it, and they did it as needed where they saw it needed. Now we have our Parks Fund is actually certified pesticide.
He's a licensed herbicide applicant.
Herbicide, that's what I was looking for.
Yes.
And so now we can actually do that ourselves and be a little more proactive instead of having to talk to the county and just waiting until they can get around to it. Then we can hit it as soon as we see it in the different parks and trails around town.
Thank you. Yes. So I guess the final points I wanted to make too, that really the plan helps target activities that the city is going to conduct, as well as plan for those activities and budget for those activities. So before, as we said, it was sort of this, when can you handle it? So this is really just gives a guideline and helps the Public Works Department really think about how they're going to deal with this throughout the season, what kind of staff they would need, what kind of materials they would need, and then it helps obviously create a really solid budget to do that. So, another thing that this does is, you know, it's a public commitment for managing weeds. So it's something that, you know, the public sees that the city is taking steps to manage noxious weeds in those public spaces that we're all sharing. Matt just mentioned Eric Schneider, who's the individual who's licensed to apply herbicides. And that's really another huge step that the Public Works Department took to actually implement this plan. So I think that's all I have in terms of comments. I really appreciate the opportunity to just give you a little overview. I'm happy to answer any other questions or thoughts or concerns you might have. And
Great.
that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Are there any other points of clarification? No. The only thing I want to request is that when we do implement this, that we also notify the public where and when we're going to spray the herbicides so that they can, you know, avoid those areas for the, you know, the time necessary to breathe in chemicals.
Yep, I think we currently do that. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, some of that is part of the herbicide application. Our foreman knows when we need to advertise it, how far beforehand, that sort of thing. So, and usually it's not a whole community. It's, you know, if we're spraying just this trail, signs up along the trail, that sort of thing.
Right. So this is just a trail, parks and trails for right now.
Yeah.
Not the whole community. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Next public comment, Mary Ann Keys from the MSU Extension.
I just go where extension goes, so. I think they're smart.
Commissioners, I am Mary Ann Keys from MSU Extension, and I have with me
I'm Megan Lannon, the former job service manager, because we're closing that office. But I have a new position. I am the Special Projects and Strategic Initiatives program manager out of Helena to work on a special project that we're going to talk about here in Livingston.
So we're here today to visit with you about a very exciting project between the Department of Labor, Park High School, Livingston School District, Mountain Sky Guest Ranch, and Montana State University Extension. Megan and Katie have been working with, Megan Lannon and Katie Weaver have been working with the school for the past 3 years. And really discussing graduation rates and senior career plans, what our seniors are going to do after they graduate. And for those past 5 years, we've been finding that about a third of the class is planning on going directly into the workforce. Now, when you push on those kids a little bit, and really, what are you going to do? Where are you going to work? I don't know. I'm just going to get a job. Well, an entry-level job in our community earns you minimum wage. And minimum wage doesn't meet the cost of living independently. And so right there, you set up kids who are going to stay in our community to not be financially independent, to be committed to living with their parents or their friends or their significant others to try to balance and meet rent payments. And that doesn't make a successful community. So we started exploring the possibilities. How can we help these kids start to learn about their careers and explore before they get out of high school, so that when they graduate, they understand and know the direction they want to go? And so,
So having worked with the high school for the last couple of years, as Mary Ann had mentioned, Katie and I also partner up on economic development, attraction with businesses. I usually go and talk about workforce, and she handles all the economic development conversation. But generally, the number one thing that comes up, do you have workforce? Of course, I say, yes, we do. We just have to train them. Okay, yeah. So the Department of Labor is looking very close, and Montana's not special. It's states across the nation. They're looking at work-based learning. And if you follow trends, it was around about 20 years ago, and of course, history repeats itself, so it's come back again. It's a little bit different, The model that I've done a lot of research on, and it has had a lot of success, is out of California. It's called linked learning, but they made a critical mistake, and that was not engaging industry. So that's another piece that Katie and I work on, and we were sent to Arizona to teach teams on how to engage industry. And so we've brought that into this model, and basically the work-based learning strategy that we're going to do a 4-year pilot on, following the incoming freshman class to their senior year. So I'll be gathering data on all these, I guess, sort of experimental things. It's kind of like monkeys behind glass, taking notes, but tracking these kids to see if this really makes a difference. So it's not just going to be, oh, just fly-by-night program that we're implementing and you never hear anything about it. We have a lot of stakeholders that are very interested, including the governor, to see how this is going to roll. We brought extension in because I knew that closing job service offices were on the horizon. I didn't know that I would be one that would be closed because I thought I'm so awesome. But we were, and so this came at the right time. And talking to Marianne, if you know her, she gets a lot of people to do things in a very nice way. That's why we love her. But she got a lot of people on board to say, I think we should do this. And I also think it really ties into the extension model and what they're trying to do. And I said, well, how many extension offices are there in the state? And she stopped and said, there's one in every county. And I said, well, this is great. So with that, we are going to, our intention is to make this a replicable model that is nimble and responsive to communities and their industries that they have, because every community is different. So it's not going to be a cookie cutter curriculum. That word scares me because that comes with great responsibility. I'm kidding. We don't want a curriculum. We want it to be special to that community. And so where if there's not a job service or workforce development or economic development person, then if that extension agent feels that that's needed, they can go forward and make that happen.
So what we're actually going to do is take that incoming freshman cohort and focus on 4 different areas. So you've got awareness. What skills are they good at? What are they naturally talented at? Where do they envision themselves in the future? Where do they see themselves living or not living? That's probably more important. What do they not like to do? Then, after we do that discovery, we're going to do some exploration. What careers in our community would fit these traits or the skills that you have? Let's go do some job shadows. Let's do some interviews. Then, let's prepare them. Let's get you some work-based skills so that you can be there, whether it's just a basic work ethic, punctuality, attitude. Let's talk about all those, and then let's place you in an internship. Just a short one. See if you fit. And if you do, let's move on to training. Let's do an apprenticeship. Let's do online certification if that's what you want to do. Right now at the high school, it's only available to a very select few with an independent education plan or an IEP. We want to make that available to every single freshman that's in a high school. And so that's what this program will do. We're lucky enough to have all these partners and a grant partnership to help this come to fruition. And go ahead. It's a $120,000 a year project that we have commitment from those 4 partners for the next 4 years to do. Right now, we have $110,000 that's been pledged. So we're asking the city to continue to consider an opportunity of $1,000 towards this effort as part of an economic development focus. And I understand budgets are tight. We're just asking you to consider how your funds are prioritized in that area. And if there's an opportunity to support local efforts with local youth to funnel into a Park County and Livingston economy, consider that.
So I'm going to pass around this diagram. So when you get a chance, with everything going on with my office, I missed the call to get something in to look at. So he's not interested. He doesn't need people. So I think to keep in mind when you look at this is that industry, business, and the community are partners in this effort. It's not driven by the educators. It's a partnership. I will be working in the school but I will be continually out talking to business and industry. What keeps you up at night? What do you need? What are you looking for? And then on the flip side, working with the teachers to align what they're doing academically in their classes to what employers and industry are looking for. So wherever we can, we might build a engineering pathway that talks about with those students about why you're learning this math or this English and why it's relevant and why you need to pay attention and stay in school. I also think that the 30 kids in this senior class that said they were just going to enter the workforce are a lot of the kids that we heard about were probably, so a lot of them probably went through CASA, I would imagine. And so working with the school a lot, we have a huge population that it's fine if they want to stay here. I think that's fine. I'm not trying to drive anybody out of town, but you better have a plan. And we're here to support you in whatever your vision for your future looks like. So it's not just about getting a job, it's planning for your future.
Our success story was a young man who was credit deficient at the high school. Wasn't sure if he was going to graduate, interested in automotive work. Thought that might be the right fit. He was working with Sarah Mussetter. Sarah called Megan and said, do you have anywhere we can do an automotive internship? Can we place this student there? Megan connected him with
Frank O'Connor. And he's like, sure, yeah, I haven't done it in a while, I'll take a student. And I was like, okay, great. And then I had a work-based learning event where I invited business to give their input. And my bureau chief was there, and Frank had asked about apprenticeship. And my bureau chief said, yeah, you can do that. They just started an automotive apprenticeship in Butte. And so that student could graduate, with the credential in body work or mechanics or whatever. And so we've got that started. But what happens is with everything I hear at the state never gets to the educators and never gets to the students. It's always separated. And by the time we've got someone that, enters the workforce and muddles around for so many years, they're 40 and in crisis, can't pay their bills, and then they come into my office, which is fine. I'm not saying that's not great, but I would like to get them started off on the right foot when they graduate. And so now this kid is like, wow, I never would have imagined I would be an apprentice. This is really cool.
So he's at O'Connor Auto Body. He's got his apprenticeship. Frank's getting that return on investment from the Department of Labor to help back pay some of those wages.
Just got not back paying wages.
Okay.
Got a tax credit passed this year in the legislature, so he'll get a $750 tax credit for having an apprentice. So that just passed. Spread the word.
The cool part about it is, though, Daniel will finish school. Sorry, our student will finish school. And Frank has offered him a job for the summer and possibly the fall, and said, if you want to continue working for me, I want you here. And I also want to send you through the online car school. I want to pay for you to do that because you're that kind of an employee for me. We only know this because he sent a thank you to Megan and Sarah and said, you changed the course of my life. You gave me goals for the future when I didn't have it. So that's our success story. If we can do that with one, we can do that with the rest of the senior class. So, questions?
So will, with the school district, then are you able to allow for credits to be earned when the students are working then with local businesses and getting their training?
That's something we're going to work on.
Okay.
I think currently they do something with the internship class. Other states have assigned some sort of credit, getting credits for doing other work-based learning activities. So it's something that I'm hoping to get going. And the teachers are like, yeah, that'd be cool. So far they've been very receptive to. And I think part of that is because I'm still a Department of Labor employee. So they're game for trying it, and I always check in with them because they're the folks that are doing the work. So I think that they would consider and entertain that for sure.
And it fits very nicely into Park High's tiered diploma pathway system.
Oh,
But
they changed that?
they're going to, it's
Well, it's funny because I've been a part of the Pathways career team with Dr. Scalia's redesign. And so, well, I'm trying to get my foot in the door, but yeah, they just decided on how to do that, and I'm not sure if they presented it to the school board or where they're at with that part.
That presentation will happen this fall. Okay. So this is in that pipeline to fit in with that plan. So you guys are kind of, even though you have a 4-year commitment with funding, you're still trying to get all the pieces to get together to complete the puzzle. Well, as far as school policy goes, the school's already said, yes, we want this, it's a career, or work-based learning facilitator in the school. Park High's already committed office space and resources to that. Livingston School District has said, yes, this is where it fits in our draft strategic plan. And that'll go be approved this summer to be rolled out this fall. And so it's just the final tweaking pieces on where exactly in the tiered diploma pathway this will fit, and then fleshing out more of those pathways. If that makes sense.
So we're gonna be bringing the Department of Labor, all the stakeholders together, figuring out what our MOUs are. I need to close my office, so this will be the next step, really dialing this in. But I only have a month and a half. I'll get summer off, so I will be in the school. If you want to come visit, planning this out and getting really aggressive on what that first year is gonna look like.
So was there a specific ask for the city? $1,000. $1,000. It's an opportunity to participate, so, yes. But that's, just to remind you again, that's $1,000 out of a $120,000 grant fund. So it really is just a good faith ask to say, please participate in the opportunity to invest in the project.
Sounds good. Any other questions, Commissioner Hoagland?
What I appreciate about the project or the concept is it's proaction. And I think that often we deal with economic development as a reaction, and this is very proactive. And I appreciate that, and it was great to hear.
Thanks. I put my number on the top of that sheet. If anybody wants to call me, I'll bore you with many more details. And then take your name and number, and I'm going to call you, and you have to help me, so be careful.
So now that we've presented, we'll go ahead and submit the grant to Lisa so she can send it out, so you can see the full grant budget and the proposal, so you can see exactly what Mountain Sky will work. That works.
Okay, sounds great.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I'm glad we saved you. You will be based out of Livingston, is that?
Yep, I will be, I don't know what happens after 4 years, so if anybody comes up with a really awesome job. But I'm gonna run this project, and the governor is really interested in it, research and analysis, because they don't have a lot of data on this population. And a lot of states are looking at this with our aging workforce. Let's get them trained up and get them going. So I think if we can get a lot of input and a lot of support, I think it's really going to help out a lot of rural areas too.
Well, this is right up your alley. I mean, this is what you've been doing, so.
Yep.
I wish you the very best.
Thanks, Mel.
For us to be a competitive community as our state edges closer to that 1% unemployment rate, I think this is critical for us to begin training our kids to really maintain a lifestyle here if they want to. But it will definitely give us a competitive advantage.
We've already talked.
Yes.
And you're worth at least $1,000.
Okay, excellent.
Well, thank you very much for presenting that tonight.
Thank you for your time.
I have an idea on that. I'll talk to the commission after the meeting. Okay, so there are no public hearings tonight, no ordinances, and we do have one resolution. It's resolution number 4727, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Livingston, Montana, declaring certain property as surplus and directing that said property to be sold. Mr. Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This resolution declares certain property that has either been end of life, has been replaced, or has been confiscated as surplus, and as such allows us to recoup some money by auctioning it off.
Very good. Is there a motion from the commission regarding resolution number 4727?
I make a motion that we pass resolution 4727.
I'll second.
So there's a motion by Commissioner Friedman and a second by Commissioner Hoagland. Any commission discussion? Commissioner Hoagland.
More question. So where do we have the auction? It's
That is
on the
a
ninth.
great question. I don't have the location with me. We do have it. We'll get it out.
It's in the city impound lot.
In the city of Pound Lot.
Okay,
And the date.
it's on the ninth. What time?
Usually it starts at 5 o'clock.
Is that it? Any other commission discussion or questions, clarification? If there's any public comment? We have a motion and a second, and we've already offered our questions. So roll call, please.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
Commissioner Frazier,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandberg,
Four. Motion passes. Moving on to action items, our first action, discuss, approve, deny acceptance of weed management plan prepared by Invasive Species Action Network. Mr. Cardenas?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We were able to hear the presentation earlier on the weed program. As stated, the Public Works Department is working on this, getting the people in place, getting the correct qualifications. I think it's a great step forward in being able to proactively go out and prevent noxious weeds in the city, and it's the first step in the larger plan.
Right. All right. Commission discussion. Anyone have any comments? Mr. Sandberg?
Will we see anything with this year's budget presentation in regards to additional expenses being needed to fund this document? What's inside it?
There will be expenses as far as FY18 goes. Yes, in the new budget, there's going to be some requirement for at least the chemicals. As far as salary goes, we're already using someone that's on the workforce, so it shouldn't be any additional salary, or at least there may be some overtime, but nothing significant.
Okay,
So the main cost is going to be the herbicides themselves.
okay, thank you.
Any other commission questions? Is there any public comment? Is there a motion from the commission regarding the acceptance of the weed management program?
Yeah, I make a motion we approve acceptance of the weed management program.
I'll second.
So a motion by Commissioner Friedman, second by Commissioner Hoagland. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
Commissioner Frazier,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandberg,
4.
Motion passes. Our next item is scheduling a meeting of the city commission to discuss goals for the city manager. So that's our agenda item. Does everyone have calendars?
Mhm.
Good. So tonight is the 16th. Does anyone have a proposed date that they would like to do this?
Can I just ask a protocol question?
Absolutely.
So how does this work? Who, do we have, I know you as previous commissioners have goals. As with newer commissioners, how are the goals determined that we provide to the managers?
A lot of those will be, I think for this first go around, there'll be, a lot of that will be in discussion. They'll have to agree on the goals
During this meeting?
during that particular meeting. I think that each commissioner should bring a list of items that they want the commission and the city manager to consider. And we do have previous goals from a couple years back that we can reference and have as a starting point.
Great.
Yeah. And we can get that list, that reference list out to the commission if everyone doesn't have that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Now, there's going to be a period of time in June where you're going to have a leave of absence to move your family.
That's right. And to be on the safe side, I would scratch out between 18 June and 2 July. Because I don't have exact travel dates yet, so we need some moving schedule. It should be in that time frame.
Okay, so sometime within the next 4 weeks would probably be appropriate. And
June 1st, Thursday?
that works for me.
Yeah. Thursday, June 1st. Sounds good.
Does anyone have any objections? Mr. Holden, that's good for you. Okay, and what time, since it will be our first one, we're going to have to establish have some discussions, so we start at 5:30. Does that work for everyone? Okay. That was painless.
Well, we previously had a meeting on this, so we should have some, steps forward. So we should have some of the notes.
Oh, so your notes?
You have notes?
I have some, from one of the,
Board sessions?
one of the issues that we had discussed. So
Do you think you could type that up in an email and get it out to us?
that was just the staff development aspect of.
For what?
We have the staff development aspect
Mhm.
of our goals, and I have that in detail, but I think that was the main one I was supposed to address.
Okay. Lisa, do you remember, did we record that meeting?
I don't think so.
We haven't recorded? Okay.
I think Lisa took notes.
Lisa, Molly. Well, if we could get those notes from anyone who took notes, that would be great. Okay, great, thank you very much. So June 1st, 5:30. I guess you would also be willing to check to see if we can get this room. Not, we have to use room, probably be sufficient. Camera's all in there. And outlet type catered, Mustang catering would be good. Yeah, city commission budget, our paychecks. Okay, we do have one last item, an addendum, action item C. Discuss, approve, deny acceptance of memorandum of understanding, amending the captain's promotion grading scale. Mr. Cardis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This action item is to approve a new scoring scale basically for the assessment. The old scale was 1 to 10. What they found was that wasn't granular enough to actually show separation between the candidates as they went through the assessment. So we presented a new scale from 1 to 100 that allowed them to differentiate the candidates a little bit better. That went to the union, it was voted on, it was unanimously agreed to, and so it's just asking for your approval and we can implement it for the next assessment.
Right. All right. Is there a motion from the commission? Action item C.
Yeah, I need to make a motion, we, yes, action item C, the new scale for grading.
For a second.
I'll second.
Okay. There's a motion by Commissioner Friedman, second by Commissioner Hoagland. Any commission discussion, questions, clarification? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, may we have roll call, please?
Chairperson Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hilton,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedman,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandberg.
Four.
Motion passes. Oh, here we go. City manager comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would once again like to remind everyone that the street sweeper is out, so please move your cars if you get the chance. And additionally, if you see new yellow markings around on the intersections, that is a new project Public Works is doing. It's a public safety initiative that brings us into compliance with state law. Basically, it keeps parked cars back away from the intersection far enough that it allows pedestrians who are coming out into a crosswalk or bicyclists who are coming to the crosswalk to be seen by motorists earlier so they can react.
Yeah.
So that is currently ongoing. So if you see the paint crews out there, please move your cars and enjoy the new bright paint curves. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Commissioner Sandberg.
So on that note, the section that's painted yellow next to on calendar, corner of calendar.
That section?
Yes. It's only like 5 feet. Is there a reason it's, and there's enough for a parking spot? It seems to me that the 30 feet would encompass that parking spot. Is there a reason it's not entirely painted there?
I don't think we've gotten to calendar in D yet. That's previous painting that didn't meet code.
Well, it
So
just has a parking sign for 10 minutes, so is that parking spot going to be eliminated then?
it will most likely be eliminated once we bring that up to code.
Okay, great. And when are we, I'm getting a little nervous, when are we going to start having budget discussions?
You should see those coming again shortly, probably in the next, most likely the next commission meeting, have a proposed schedule for you to approve or disapprove as far as the schedule goes.
So the fact that the budget rolls over in
July.
July 1, are you proposing that we'll have those decisions prior to that timeframe, or will we be after that?
No, the plan right now is to have that all completed prior to July.
Are we anticipating extra meetings then?
Well, we're going to at least have some working groups, like the first general fund working group. Most of the enterprise funds aren't quite as complicated. There aren't as many decisions to be made. A lot of those are very specific in the revenues and the outlays are pretty set. So we could probably roll that into, I would see at least one more working group. I'm hoping after the next working group, we'll be ready at the second commission meeting in June to be able to propose the full budget.
July?
June.
June. Okay.
So it's approved prior to July. If we do need a special meeting, we can schedule that, but my goal is not to schedule an additional meeting other than the working session.
Okay, so I guess I'm looking at June as next week. Or so. So do we have, I'm just trying to plan my schedule. So if we're gonna have our regularly 2 scheduled meetings in June, do you anticipate that working session at the week in between?
No, actually, it'll be your choice when to schedule it. But, I would try to schedule it with the commission meeting so that there is that week off in between to get the work done.
Okay,
Kind of as we did tonight, to have a working session and a commission meeting in the same evening.
so do we as a commission need to make that decision this evening then, or when were we planning to make that decision? Since our
Well-
next meeting will be in June.
Well, if we're looking at scheduling it as a workshop with the same day as the commission meeting and not knowing exactly how long it might take. I mean, I would think we'd want to schedule just a couple hours. That puts us back to 4:30, 4 o'clock, and I'm not sure if that works for some of the commission boards.
No, just,
The other,
so that's why I'm bringing it up is, you know, we as a group are not going to meet again until June. And so if we're trying to set another meeting, maybe we need to be having that discussion now. And I don't know if we can have a discussion because it's not on the agenda.
Can we set dates for work group sessions and not have it on our agenda as a discussion?
I'll tell you my proposal is right now, maybe we can, we're happy to vote on it, is to do it actually after the next meeting instead of prior. And we'll keep the agenda short and that'll allow us the time to do the work group after. And that way we don't have to start early, but we can still use the time that we need. We also have, if you'd rather, we certainly can schedule it in between. We do have 2 weeks off between this meeting and the next meeting. So it's 3 weeks between meetings, correct?
Well, okay, so. Seems that since it's our first go around with the with kind of approaching the budget in a different way, maybe it'd be wise for us to take that third Tuesday of this month and schedule it then, and if we need more time, we can work it into that following meeting, that first meeting in June. Does that work for your guy, for the administration schedule? Yes, sir. Okay.
So that would be a week from today.
No, it'd be 2 weeks from today. There's 5 weeks in this month.
Okay, so that would be 2 meetings that week. Then we would have the budget work session Tuesday, and then we have commission goals on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So would there be any objection to starting a little earlier on that evening of the 30th? Like, say, 5:30? Does that work for everyone, or 6 o'clock? 5:30.
Yeah, I'm gonna be driving back that day, but I'll make it
So-
work.
I think you can make 5:30 work on that day.
Yeah, I can make it work.
So, so our budgeting workshop will be on May 30th, starting at 5:30. And that works for the administration? Yes. And there's no objection from the commission? Okay, great, good. Trying to work that out. So Commissioner Sandberg, you still have the floor.
So meetings. I'm just seeking some way of consistency on when they're scheduled and how we're notified. And I think probably it's best that they're always set at the meeting, so everyone's aware.
You got a regular schedule.
Well, yeah, and I guess I'm just throwing that out there, but there's been a couple meetings where recently we discussed we were gonna get together, and I don't believe that the time was ever definitively decided at a meeting. And then I'm finding out about it through email or reading the paper, etc. So I'm just trying to figure out a standardized way of knowing when our meetings are and at what time they are. And I don't expect an answer right now, but
I think the normal time that we, or the normal avenue in which we make those decisions is at a regular meeting.
okay.
And it's best to do it here so everyone can look at their calendars and agree on it.
Okay.
Rather than do it through email.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
On top of that, okay.
Absolutely.
Do you think we could get like a Google Calendar invite? So that we, like for tonight meeting site, I wasn't sure of.
We can certainly come up with a technological solution, whether that's posted to the website or creating an organizational outlook box or a Google Calendar. Just a few options. In fact, I was just talking with IT about that today. So we'll come up with some suggestions and I'll present it to you, and you guys can decide which ones you prefer.
Well, and the county does it a lot. If, like for the compact meeting, we get an invite from someone at the county.
Like an Outlook invite.
Yes.
Yeah.
and
We can
then
certainly do
so-
that.
Gonna say the county's got it down, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can pick their brain.
Because it works really well for county meetings, I know that.
And if that's a preferred method, that's an easy solution. We can send out emails.
With location.
And
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I just want to make a comment on that since we're on it. I'm not, the invites I get from the county, for some reason, they don't always come in budgetable. So I don't know, maybe because I'm on a Mac. Yeah, so I have no idea, but if Google Calendars is a better solution where Google, you can link it in with other people's Google calendars, I can just link right into it. Is that acceptable to the commission?
I can, whatever, I can link
You
it
can,
in.
you can link into everything, okay? Okay,
Well, like the contact meeting came, from last night, yesterday, but it came to my Apple like that. And
okay.
it's through Google, so it's just getting the right address in there. It should work if they have it correct.
All right, well, whatever we can make work. Either one of those.
Even just the website, the calendar on the website, I'm happy with that. I don't care.
All right.
What's easy and less expensive,
Okay.
go for it.
Commissioner Friedman.
Yes, I want to thank Liz and the enterprise. I've been between buildings and here with my wife in operation. And I usually get the paper around 3:30, and I didn't get the paper, and I called, and they said we'll deliver it. I got it 5 after 5. And I read the front page, it was a meeting at 5:30. So I want to thank the enterprise. So otherwise, I'd still be sitting home reading the newspaper. That's it.
Commissioner Hoagland.
Two things. I lost track where they were. We had asked a question, Mike, some weeks ago on the plume's impact financially. We discussed the plume and its impact on the water treatment plant. And the cleanup or the work that we had to do to dig through the dirt, which is the plume site, it's increasing the cost of the project. And one of my questions was whether or not we could have an answer on some of that funding mechanism being used from the settlement towards that project, that part of the project, and we haven't heard back. So I'm just wondering about that, if we have anything new on that.
As far as the actual cost goes, I think this is probably going to be the fly in the ointment as far as that goes. We won't know the actual costs until after the project's complete. Most of it's with the dewatering, so as we get into it, it's going to depend on water tables, flow rates, a bunch of engineering stuff. So those costs will vary depending on basically the river and the water table itself. At the end, I think there's a couple different funding mechanisms we can look at, and we will pursue those, but I think we're going to have solid final costs before we can ask for actual funding.
And my perpetual question of the commission is the traffic study, and Shannon, I know, is out in the calendar with a review something, the active transportation, but yeah, which I love. But he had said mid-May, that was the last statement, so.
And it is mid-May, and they have not yet delivered, but we are checking, and they're telling us it will be soon. So we still expect it before June, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But I can't do this on the day we haven't provided one yet.
So it will go on the agenda ASAP.
As soon as I get it, it will go on the next agenda.
Okay, and I will be gone the second meeting in June, and if you put it on then, I'm gonna freak out.
It will go on the next agenda unless it's the second agenda in June.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, that's all.
The only comment I'd like to make on your comment, which was the first one about funding for that, I think, if I may, Mr. Carlos, I think Courtney has some information because you sit on that board. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Can we, can you let us know if there's a possibility or not? I think that's pretty cut and dry.
I think that's a discussion that we should have in private.
Okay, that answers that. It's very cut and dry. All right, so let's see. Let's see if I can do anything proper here tonight. Here we go. One thing I do is I want to mention that I really like these reports, so keep them coming. I think they're very helpful to me to kind of keep abreast of what's going on within the city. I don't know, for me at least, it helps me keep connected to the different projects and activities that go on. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, last item on the agenda, public comment. Is there any public comment? Of course, come on up.
Liz Kearney with the Enterprise. I have a question about your meeting. You're gonna have Mr. Cardos on his goals. Will that be a public meeting?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Something else. Oh, I'm not sure why, I'm begging for the board, Courtney sits on. I'm not sure why that would be a private discussion.
Because it's a private group and private litigation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? All right, hearing none, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So this meeting of the Livingston City Commission is adjourned at 7:39. Before that. There we go. And
How are you doing?
Oh, she was doing.
Hi, I was thinking about you today.
Oh, I'm so, I hope it wasn't,
No, it was good. I was watching, more